Kitty, kitty. I think my ears are uneven. That's why the mic shows more over here than over here. What's up, Holly? Serenity? Serene. I like that name. I don't know how to say it. What's up, Tanya? Never too far. What's up, Susie Q? Hi, Crystal. Thank you. I got these from Julie Klein. She's here on the talk. Cajun Jewels. Hi, Janine. Hi, Christine. Hi, Christy. Hi, Mystic Goddess. Go Tigers. What's up, Ashley? Hi, Carrie. Aurora. Donna. Me over you. I like that. Jess. Darlie Routier. Yep, got the outfit change. I just been live like 2 minutes. What's up? Hi, Rachel. Judith, what are we talking about? We're talking about Darlie. We just got to catch up on your YouTube live. Was just going to catch up. Oh, yeah. So I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to start putting all my lives on the tube. No, I get all my earrings from all over. These just happen to be from Cajun Jewels. Her name is Julie Klein. What's up, darling? Carrie, I'm rewatching it too. I'm on episode 2. Gwendolyn, what's up, girl? Episode 4. Can we all give a huge shout out to Andrea for giving us that new link? I haven't written to her yet. I'm going to. What's up, Alicia? Hey, Nora. All right, y'all. We're just going to jump right into it. Yeah, everyone watch before it disappears again. So, tonight, this is what I want to talk about. Katie, we didn't really talk about this. I hope it's okay with you. I made a video. If you're not sure, go watch my page. I made a video of the new place to watch The Last Defense. Maybe, Katie, you want to take some questions first for a little while until we get everybody in here, and then we're going to go into it. What we're going to cover tonight, as much as I hate to do this, I think it's only fair and responsible. I want to talk about some of the things that happened at the crime scene that I don't have answers for, that don't necessarily fit the defense's perspective. Well, she had no defense perspective because that lawyer just took her $95,000 and did nothing. But yeah, I want to talk about some things that I have questions about. And we can talk about the DNA. Yep. Let me get my notebook. Hold on. My first priority tonight, though, is I want to talk about the things that the state proved that they still make me go, We're going to talk about the bread knife. Let me make myself some notes. I didn't make notes today. All right, Katie, you want to take some questions? Anybody got questions? Bring them on. If it's a good question or if it's one that's asked commonly, Katie, you'll pin it. That's a very high retainer fee. Didn't need to do anything after. Yeah, and it was only for 7 weeks. So $95,000. I don't think that was the retainer. I think that was the full payment. He only took the case on 7 weeks before trial for $95,000 and didn't call a single expert witness. Why couldn't she get a retrial for ineffective counsel? She's tried. They just denied it. I don't know why. She's tried. If you go to freedarlie.com, all of her documents there's a tab across the top. I don't remember what it's called, but they're all in there, all her denials. And you also can look them all up on the Dallas County website. All her denials are on there. Did you find out if she was right or left-handed? No. Let's Google it. Hold on. She's right-handed. And it was her right arm that was stabbed. So she would have had to have stabbed herself with her non-dominant hand. Why wouldn't that lawyer ask for a continuance? Let me know when you find out. She went to trial 6 months after she was arrested. She was arrested on June 18th. She was denied bond, and her trial started in January, late January, early February. She was sentenced in March. It started in January. She was convicted in February. She was sentenced in March. Was anything said about whether the killer was right or left-handed? Well, Darlie was right-handed and she was stabbed in her right. Seems like the neck wound could have not been made by a right-handed person. Correct. Well, I mean, anybody can do anything with their non-dominant hand, right? It just may not be with as much precision. But, and again, I believe she's innocent. But if we're playing devil's advocate, the cut was from the top right down. So that would have been more consistent with someone with a left hand, right? Here's the other thing, if we have to talk about it. Holly, we're going to get there. It just kind of makes me feel ick to like bring up things that people might take out of context and think it makes her look guilty. But one thing that I do believe we have to address is her wounds looked awful. And the surgeon did say that she was within 1 to 2 millimeters of the carotid artery. However, he also said they were mostly superficial. So that is contraindicated to the wounds on the boys. The boys' wounds were super forceful all the way through their poor little bodies into the concrete of the foundation. But if you notice at the footage of the infamous silly string tape, she's decently healed, and that was not very long after. So they did appear decently superficial. And I hate that. I mean, I think it could have been for a lot of reasons. I think she's stronger than the boys. The boys didn't fight back. One thing that Greg Davis argued, I hate that man, was that why would someone have stabbed the boys but not stabbed Darlie? Well, they did try to stab Darlie. She took the knife into her arm. So I don't necessarily think that's indicative that she did it to herself at all, but I do think that is something that makes me go, So either maybe if there was an intruder, maybe the intruder was fatigued by that point. Maybe he didn't have faith in his weapon, because don't forget, I believe there was a second weapon used, because the weapon that they say was the single weapon used didn't have any of Devon's blood on it. I do believe that Devon was killed first and that weapon broke. And so they had to retrieve a weapon from inside the house. So maybe he didn't have confidence in that weapon. So maybe he wasn't being as aggressive with it. Maybe it came loose a little when he was killing or attempting to kill Damon, because Damon was still alive when the paramedics got there. Or maybe Darlie just put up enough of a fight. But they were decently healed by the time the silly string incident happened. Okay, let's talk about the knife. I think superficial just means it didn't go very deep, but those bruises. Yeah, the bruises were horrible. The way they stated the blood loss equaled nearly half the blood supply. Yes. Let's talk about the butcher knife. The bread knife. So, okay. Let's not hold the questions for a second, Katie. Okay. So one thing that has never sat right with me is I do believe it was not Darlie. I do believe someone was in the house that night. I don't know if I think that person broke in or if I think that person was in the house when they went to sleep. I don't know. But this is the one thing that I've never understood. The window in which they say the intruder must have come in and gone out of is a very peculiarly positioned and shaped. It's not a traditional window. It's very low to the ground, like almost completely to the baseboard. So when you raise it, you would have to like completely squat down and contract yourself and move through. There was, according to the police department, which they did a shoddy job, but the windowsill was not disturbed, and the screen was not ripped excessively. It was cut, but it was not ripped in addition to where it was cut. I don't know if I'm explaining that well or if that makes sense, but I've crawled through screens that were cut before, and usually because of the size of a adult, or in my days I was crawling through windows where the screens were cut, I was in my late teen years, typically there is some rippage, right? This screen was like just perfectly cut, and that was it. So I don't know. They showed the husband going in and out of it, but not at the crime scene photos. I'm talking about the night the photos were taken. If you look at the crime scene photos, to me, it just appears to stop perfectly the way it's cut at the bottom, and the screen just sits like this. The other thing that has given me okay, and this is one thing I don't agree with on the state. The state says that the mulch would have had to have been disturbed if someone went out that window. Although I do agree it's a very strange window for them to go in and out of, because there was also a dog kennel sitting inside of it. It was a window that led into a garage, and then the garage led into the utility room, and the utility room was, part of the house. There was like one of those dog kennels that was solid plastic on the top, kind of like an igloo, if you will. And it was almost blocking, it was obstructing like part of the window. It was very bizarre. And so they said that you would have had to have, one of the things they consistently said was the mulch was not disturbed. I disagree that the mulch would have had to have been disturbed, because it was actually concrete. Right outside of the window was concrete, and then there was a mulched part. But let me see if I can draw a picture. I'm a really, really bad artist, by the way. Okay. This is the window. Okay? This is mulch. This is concrete in a backyard. Now, most of us they may be arguing that it's instinct to cut across the mulch and get out as fast as possible, but you technically could have followed the concrete path. So that I don't agree with. I don't agree with the state always saying that the mulch should have been disturbed. But I am interested in how the screen was not disturbed more, or why the windowsill was not disturbed. Now, again, that's if we believe that they did their due diligence in testing it. Now, the windowsill is white. It's not filthy disgusting, so it's not apparent to the naked eye whether it's been disturbed or not. The other thing that's interesting, yes, Holly, we're on the same page. So the other thing that's interesting is that Darlie had a butcher block, like most of us do. Well, actually, I don't, because I don't cook. Most people have a butcher block on their kitchen counter, right? One of the knives, if you believe the state, the single knife that was used in the murders is from that butcher block. Well, they went ahead and tested the whole block. The bread knife from that block had both metal and plastic fibers on it. Rubber and metal fibers on it. And the screen compound was made up of metal and plastic. So that tells them that the bread knife from the butcher block was the one that was used to cut the screen. Now, here's my pause to this. A bread knife, you guys know what we're talking about? The long blade with the serrated bottom that you would use to cut through a large loaf of bread. I hate to compare, I wouldn't have done that because everyone is different. But if you had an entire block of knives to choose from, Most people would not pick a bread knife to penetrate a screen because it has a rounded edge, right? Again, with my horrible drawings, okay? Completely rounded end. So you would have had to have tried to go in at an angle and hope that it's going to cut, but you don't, like, you had other options. You had a whole other butcher block. So that part doesn't make sense to me. And I think the way you could explain that away is crazier things have happened than cross-contamination occurring at a DNA lab. So is it possible that there were no fibers on the knife when they sent it to the lab? And when the lab was testing other items? I don't know. But the bread knife thing doesn't sit well with me. They said they dusted for prints and they used the same fibers as the screen. Yeah, I don't know. I can't resolve that one in my mind. So there are some people who believe that maybe someone else in the home ahead of time cut the screen and then placed it back into the block. Maybe. I think that makes the most sense. I don't think it makes any sense for, in the heat of the moment, to grab that knife and cut the screen and put it back and then go do whatever horrible deed you did. Yeah, so a lot of people are saying that a bread knife would leave like a jagged, like the serrated edge would leave a jagged, it wouldn't be a clean cut. Okay, there's another thing that doesn't make sense to me. The wine glass. Thank you. The wine glass. Okay. I want to be able to explain everything away. The bread knife, I can't explain away. The screen not being torn more, that's a meh, maybe. I don't know, maybe someone was living their best skinny life that day. The mulch not being disturbed, I don't give that much credit, but I do think it's a weird location to go in and out of. And the print, now, the not having disturbed the windowsill, that one's got me. The wine glass. Okay, I love undisputed science, right? If there is a stain on the ground, if I drop Kool-Aid and then I drop something else on top of it and the Kool-Aid is below that item, I know the Kool-Aid got there first, right? Can we all agree on that? So Darlie's, one thing that never changed in Darlie's statement is she heard, while the commotion was going on, she heard a glass break in the kitchen as she was like waking up and coming to and becoming oriented. Her blood is underneath the glass. So I have a hard time resolving that. I know that things can move, but when you move, you make smear marks. When we are talking pure droplets that still hold their integrity of their shape and you have a piece of glass on top of it, I don't know. I'm open to suggestions if y'all got suggestions for that one. I don't know. That's one that just, I don't know. Yes, I do think that one knife, they started with one knife and then the knife broke. We've never retrieved that second knife because that's the knife that's going to have Devin's blood on it, and then they used a second knife. Well, none of the boys ever got up and ran. That's never been mentioned anywhere. Did the suspect move in the kitchen chasing one of the boys and drop the glass? The suspect dropped the glass. That's what Darlie says. Darlie says a glass was broken, I'm guessing from him hitting it as he was running, and it shattered on the ground. The problem is her blood is under it. The other problem with the blood evidence is that her footprints are under the vacuum. Yeah, I do think the most that I can resolve that in my own mind is that her sequence of events are out of order because of shock and trauma. That's what I hope. So there was a vacuum. Am I open to think, what if she snapped? 100%. But the science just isn't there. Like, it doesn't make sense. How did, if she did it, how did the sock get 75 yards away? So the vacuum, the issue with the vacuum is the same concept as the glass. The vacuum was knocked over on its side and her footprints were underneath it. She says she didn't touch it, but of course she could have just forgotten or had her, I mean, she was in shock, so maybe she can't recall correctly. They did do blood testing, and I don't put hardly any credibility in their blood testing because of Tom Bevel. But they did say that Darlie's handprint is on the vacuum and the blood was dripping in a downward motion as if she was moving the vacuum herself. Okay, why would someone else do this? Well, that's it. So we have an affidavit from Darren where he says that 2 or 3 months before that, he did talk to someone about maybe faking a robbery or breaking into his house and like hiring a U-Haul truck and moving everything away, and he was going to pay those people out of an insurance scam. Darlie had a large life insurance policy on herself. So, I don't know. But let's talk about the sock. We're getting ahead of ourselves. There was one more thing I wanted to talk about. It's like hard for me to keep talking about things that make her look bad because there's so many things that show that she could not have done this alone. Okay. James Cron came onto the scene, right? And within like 20 minutes decided that someone inside the house did this. No, we haven't talked about the first cop, Misty. Well, we touched on him. His name's Officer Waddell. We're going to talk about him. He threw up when he got on scene and forgot to tell the dispatcher he was there. Okay. James Cron, one of the big things that they used against her was that there was very little blood on the couch, right? So there was very little blood on the green leather couch. And so people are saying, or James Crom in the state said, that could not have been where she was attacked because there was very little blood. Let me give you something as a point of reference. First-hand experience, I will never forget this. My little brother, I was chasing him. It was actually on the day of my 9th birthday party. I'll never forget this. But I was chasing him. We weren't supposed to be running in the house. And he tripped and fell. And my mom had like an iron, like a steel bed frame that went around the bed. When he tripped and fell, he hit his head right here, perfectly on the edge of the bed frame. When my mom picked him up and was like, oh my God, he was hysterical. My mom's like, you're fine, you're okay, trying to calm him down. And she's talking to him. She picks him up. She's holding him. She's patting him. He's 3 years old at this time. I don't know how much time went by because I was 9 and he was 3, but I know it was a significant amount of time because he fell. You know how kids are when they fall and then it registers that they hit themselves and then they start crying. She talked to him for a little while. Then she picked him up and then blood started squirting. And when it started squirting, I mean, it was pulsing like pew, 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 with every beat of his heart. But there was a significant amount of time that went by before any blood came out. And that was because the cut went in. And so it almost made like a clotting effect, right? Until enough force happened that it pushed it back out, or at least that's what I think of it. So I don't make very much of there not being that much blood on the couch. Here's another question I have for you. Do we think that this case would have been handled, do we think this case would have been handled differently if it had not been the 1 year anniversary of Susan Smith? Yeah. I think that Susan Smith played a huge part in them rushing to judgment against Darlie. There is another aspect. I hear a lot of people like talking about 25 years, sometimes evidence can be altered to fit the narrative. Yes, that's true. It's been 27 years. A lot of people are talking about the fact that she was taking Fen-Phen. I have not watched that YouTube documentary yet. I still haven't finished it. I'm really going to try. I am. But y'all, that guy's voice. I mean, I think I haven't watched the science, so I don't want to speak on it yet. But yeah, she was taking Fen-Phen. I can't get past that guy's voice, y'all. Well, that's what I said, Ellen. That's what I said. I used to take it. It was huge. No, she said that he went through the utility room and then out through the garage. So the garage had windows in it, like along the side. And then the garage attached to the utility room. Yeah, I took Fen-Phen. It didn't make me crazy either. Angel said, I only watched for 5 minutes. I couldn't handle his voice. I know. It's bad. You listen to Rosa. You can handle him. In the first episode, she said one of the boys woke her up and she went after the intruder. When did she get hurt? She fought the intruder. The only thing I ever killed on Fen-Phen was every germ in my house. She fought with him on the couch. So she's saying that when she was laying on the couch, when she woke up, is that when she was fighting him and had been cut and he stabbed her and there was defense wounds and she ran after him. She doesn't remember it. She can't explain why she doesn't remember it. I think it's a trauma response. It could have been the Fen-Phen. Angelina Maria Designs. She's in the chat. She is the one who found the YouTube documentary and sent it to me. And she, bless her, has sat through the whole thing and has given me kind of a recap. And she says that not the phentermine, but the first ingredient, the first that starts with the F, that they provide scientific explanation of the effects of that drug, not necessarily the phentermine part of it. Has anything ever changed in her story of what happened? Little tiny discrepancies, like I think one time she said that she woke up because of the commotion, and one time she said she woke up because Damon was waking her up. I can't remember. There have been very, very minute discrepancies, but no, her story has remained basically solid. The other thing that really stood out to me, for those of you who have watched The Last Defense, I don't know who Gannon Stouch is, and we're talking about the Darlie case, so I'm not too much interested in that one. What was I going to say? The cigar. Okay. For those of you who have watched The Last Defense, what did you guys think about the way that the Rowlett Police Department took Darren in a police car when they thought they were going to the house to like give his rendition of what happened, and they took him to a gas station and they bought him a cigar, and then when they all got cigars, and when they went back to the police station, they were celebrating with their cigars because they had arrested Darlie. And you know what? I used to work for the police. I was a 911 dispatcher, and that doesn't surprise me at all. I can absolutely see that happening. Yes. They called Darlie and Darren and said, we need you to come to the police station. They thought they had like news or an update, so they dropped everything and went straight to the police station, and they separated them. They put Darlie in a room and put him in a room, and then they told him that they were going to go for a ride and go to the house, and he thought that they were going to like look at the crime scene or have him walk them through things, and they went to a gas station and got cigars, and when they got back to the station, they had arrested Darlie, and they were celebrating with their cigars. It's not really in a bow. It's like in one of those little non-slip things. Thank you. No, Darren was not celebrating. Darren was not celebrating. Darren was like, they were forcing him to be a spectator to their celebration. Like they were mocking him. When do you buy a cigar? You buy a cigar when you have something to celebrate. Yes, she's on death row. Why wouldn't they suspect the husband? How could he not hear anything? It's a good question. People ask me this all the time. Who do I think did it? I don't know. I think that it doesn't look good I want to talk about the policeman's drug addict son. We're not there yet. I don't have enough information to speak on that yet. I do work full time, and I'm trying to do this t-shirt thing on the side. So I haven't been able to dig about the police officer's son yet. I promise I'm going to. Here's what I know. First of all, I don't know what the family's position is. I don't know what they think about who they think did it. So I don't want to upset them and speak against something they believe in. But my entire motivation for speaking about Darlie is just to get her name on people's minds and to get people talking about her, because any awareness is good awareness, right? And I truly do think that she is innocent and she's sitting on death row. And so if as a byproduct of that, it means that people ask me, who do I think did it? I don't know who I think did it. The way that my mind works when I am analyzing true crime, and mind you, I'm not a professional, this is just something I do as a hobby, I think about who would have had motive to do it. I don't think Darlie had a motive. Darlie would not have been scot-free. Some people say she wanted a party, which first of all, there's no evidence that supports that she was someone who went out and partied. She was 26 years old and she had 3 children. And she was married to a man she met when she was high school age. So her kids were like her life. All the home videos were her being a mom, her with the kids, them at the beach, them at Chuck E. Cheese, them in the front yard. Nothing indicates that she was trying to go out and be wild and free and sow her oats and be free of responsibility. But even if that was the case, she still had a 7-month-old upstairs that she would have had to parent. So what does she have to gain from that? She has nothing. Nothing to gain from it. Also, she didn't work. She was a homemaker. Like the newspaper article said, which I don't think we use the word homemaker anymore, but the newspaper article said, like, homemaker accused of killing her 2 children or whatever. They talked about how they wanted, she was vain. She liked the implants. She liked the jewelry. She liked the cars. She needed Darren for that. Darren provided that lifestyle to her. So why would she do something to take that away from her if those are where her values lie? But Darren had profitability. If Darlie was to be unalived, he didn't really for the boys because, you know, they only had a $5,000 policy each, but Darlie had a $250,000 policy. Darren had previously had someone arrange for his Jaguar to be stolen, and it was. And he filed an insurance claim for it. And then 2 or 3 months before the incident, he spoke to someone about hiring a U-Haul truck and moving everything out of his house and filing an insurance claim. Now, some people will say that he later retracted that and said he only did that to help his wife, but ultimately he did it under a sworn affidavit, so we have to take it for true, right? At that point, when he wrote or signed the affidavit and gave the statements in the affidavit, he had been in front of legal counsel. So he knew and had the opportunity and had access to a lawyer, and he still chose to provide those statements for an affidavit. So we have to assume those are true, even though he later said he did that to help Darlie. How long did it take for hubby to get downstairs, during or after? During the 911 call. Janet, you gotta watch it. You have to go find the video on my page, and you have to watch the series. They go over the 911 call and all that in the first episode. The episodes are about 45 minutes apiece. There wasn't a life insurance out on each other. I don't think Darren had a policy on himself. I don't remember hearing that. But if I was wrong, y'all please let me know. I think he had one on Darlie, but she did not have one on him. Why is the DNA taking years? Good question. Now, it's not all the DNA. Some of the DNA has been run. I want to make sure that we're clear. Some of the DNA. Where is the DNA on the sock? Okay, so the sock DNA has been run. It has been initially run once. There is a current order, and we can talk about that if y'all want to. Let me find my paperwork. There is a current order for it to be retested, but the sock has been tested. The sock does not have Darlie's blood on it. It has Devin and Damon's blood on it. And where can we watch the show? It's not on YouTube. You can go to my page. I made a video this morning. I tagged a girl named Andrea, and it's a screenshot of our messages here on TikTok, and she has the name of the website on there, and you just type in The Last Defense. There is a documentary on YouTube. It's a 3-hour and 15-minute documentary, but it's not the one I'm referencing. The one on YouTube has really great information. It's hard to get through. The one that we're talking about, The Last Defense, it was produced by Viola Davis. Viola Davis found out about Darlie's case and believes that she is innocent and made a 6-part series about wrongful conviction. 2 of them are about another person that she feels is wrongfully convicted, and 4 of them are about Darlie. The Last Defense is not on YouTube. There is a very short, like 40-minute clip called The Last Defense, which is actually a 2020 episode, but that's not the one I'm referencing. That one does have some of the good information in there, but it's a very, very condensed version. The one we're talking about is 4 45-minute episodes. Okay, y'all want to talk about the DNA? The Viola episodes, go to my page and watch the last video that I put in the Darlie playlist. I just posted it today. Okay, the DNA. I still have some questions about the DNA, but this is what we got so far, okay? Okay. Yeah, there's a ton of stuff about her. Is anyone connected to the investigation still working with the department? I don't think so. If you go onto any streaming platform and you type in Darlie Routier, at least one episode of something is going to pop up. They have done a ton of stuff about her. She is, I believe, now the longest running female on death row. If she's not the longest, she's the next, but I think she's the longest. And then also, I think, because she had this outwardly appearance of like the white picket fence and she had it all, and she's a pretty attractive white female, I think that's why they've also done so much on her. Greg Davis can fall in a pile of dog shit as far as I'm concerned. Okay. So, I threw that piece of paper away. Damn it, Brandy. Okay. So 2008 was the first. Okay, let me start with saying this. I am only about 75% confident in this, so y'all fact check me, because I have not. In about 15 years ago, I deep dived into this case, like read everything, and now I'm going back and refreshing my memory. But I have a bunch of stuff in my real life that's distracting me, so I haven't done the best job of it. The first DNA order that was approved, like, because she's been trying to get the DNA retested since this happened, right? She was convicted. It happened in 1996, and she was put on death row in March of 1997. So, to the best of my knowledge, yes, I agree, Brady. In 2008 was the first time that, I'm going to pull up the website. 2008 was the first time that she won a appeal to try to get some of the DNA retested. Because, let's talk, okay, some of the DNA spectacles. First of all, I talked about this on my last live. They cross-contaminated some of the clothing. They didn't keep good chain of custody records of what was contained with what, and then, like, her t-shirt, for example, was used against her greatly. Where the blood spatter was located was used against her, but yet it was put into a paper bag when it was wet, which means that it would have seeped, and also we still don't know where Damon's shirt was. Devin's shirt was. We don't know where Damon's, yeah. We don't know where Damon's shirt was. So if we don't know where Damon's shirt was, how do we know Damon's shirt wasn't in with Darlie's shirt? But yet they're using so much of the evidence the state used against her was the location of whose blood was where. There was a blonde hair that was found in the screen, the infamous screen that was cut. There was a blonde hair found in there, and it was said to have been Darlie's. Well, later they got it tested, and it wasn't Darlie's. It was one of the Rowlett Police Department's wives' hair. So clearly, DNA is not their specialty over at the Rowlett Police Department. So I think the first time she won an appeal or a request for DNA was 2008. If you guys find something sooner than that, let me know. But I'm pretty sure it was 2008. What? Hold on. My internet goes out so much, y'all. I need to get Starlink. Okay, I don't know what's going on. It's not letting me pull it up. Okay, so in 2000, I was going to tell you what judges ordered it. Because it's at this point, judges on 3 different levels from 3 different courts have all ordered additional testing, and we're still waiting on it. So in 2008, someone ordered testing. I don't know if that one has been completed yet or not, and I can't get on the computer. It was transference. An officer's wife wasn't there. They don't think it was transference. Like, I have a shit ton of hair. My husband says all the time, like, he'll be at work going to the bathroom and he'll find, like, a strand of my hair, like, woven into the cotton of his underwear. So 2014, a Dallas judge, someone high up, like the chief of the Western, I can't remember. Chief of the Western something or another. And of course, I changed my trash can today. Ordered additional testing, but the testing that is the most important, okay? In April of 2021, the Innocence Project in New York decided to take on Darlie's case. So she now has a total of 4 lawyers. She has a lawyer in Houston. She has a lawyer in Dallas who's been working on her case for years. And then she has 2 female lawyers now out of New York for the Innocence Project. So they came on board in April. They very swiftly moved. And on September 30th of 2021, Judge Audra Riley of Dallas County ordered multiple agencies. Okay, listen to this, y'all. This blew my mind. Are y'all ready? Why a judge had to order this is beyond me, okay? If I am a defendant in a murder trial, I want to know why all of the DNA evidence is not in one safe location. The Judge Riley ordered the following agencies to collect all of their DNA in this case and put it in one central location. Ready? Dallas County District Clerk, Rowlett Police Department, Southwestern Institute of Forensic Sciences, the Texas Department of Public Safety, and the University of North Texas Center for Human Identification. Why is her evidence spread out through 5 different agencies? Yes, she is. The Innocence Project is currently not only representing her, they're also paying for all of the shipment and testing. So, Judge Riley says all these agencies have to get everything together and they have to send it all to the Forensic Analytical Crime Laboratory in Hayward, California. So, get everything together, send it to California. This is what I don't understand. Actually, I talked to Woody Overton about this. I've been picking his brain because he and I are working on some stuff behind the scenes. He actually explained it to me and it makes more sense, but I still just think it just boggles my mind. So they're going to send all of this evidence to the Forensic Analytical Crime Laboratory in Hayward, California, right? But then, if any, and this is what the court ruling says, if any foreign eligible profile is found, meaning, so the order also required for DNA profiles from each of the 5 Routier family members, Darren, Darlie, Devin, Damon, Drake, right? All their profiles had to be sent with the evidence. If any foreign eligible profile is found, then a sample of that foreign eligible profile is to be sent to, y'all listen to this, the Acadiana Criminalistics Laboratory in Iberia Parish, Louisiana. What? So, I'm not going to lie. Okay, I don't know. Is that the sketch lab the family doesn't want? I don't know. So I am dying to hear from the family because when I last talked to her sister said the state wants to use like a less than credible, what she calls a discount lab, and they want to use like the gold standard, right? I don't know which lab is which because there's so many. We're not even done yet. There's still other labs we have to talk about. So, I thought it was crazy that they're going to send something to Louisiana because I'm going to be honest, y'all. We don't got the best reputation all the time, right? Like, there's a lot of corruption that goes on in Louisiana. I'm like, why would they want to send it to Louisiana? But, according to Woody Overton, they are the gold standard. Like, they are the creme de la creme. He says, besides the Louisiana State Police lab, they are the best lab. So, I thought that was interesting, and I thought it was really funny that this case ends up having some ties to Louisiana. So, if we're going to get everything together in one central location, because, that should be, like, common sense, I would think. Whatever. So, send it all to California. If a foreign eligible profile is found, then they have to send a sample of that profile to Acadiana to determine, they're going to run it against the national database. So if a foreign eligible profile is found, send it to Louisiana, they run it against the database. If additional testing is recommended by the Acadiana Criminalistics, then they are to be sent to the Mitotyping Technologies in State College to undergo mitochondrial DNA testing. I haven't heard of mitochondrial DNA since I took biology, and I don't even know what it is, so we can't talk about it anymore because I don't know what that means. Foreign eligible profile means a profile not attached to anyone that was at the crime scene or any of the Routier families. That's how I interpret. So what they're looking for is a foreign eligible profile. Eligible meaning it's enough DNA to create a profile, because not every DNA sample you can get a full profile off of, right? It has to, I don't really know what I'm talking about here, but I do know I've heard on crime shows that I've watched, like, yeah, we were able to swab that, but we weren't able to get a full profile. Like, they might be able to say it was a man, or it was a woman, or it was blood, or it was semen, but they can't tell you who it belongs to. They don't have enough of a profile to run it. So, and foreign meaning someone unidentified. So, to the best of my knowledge, every person that was on the crime scene should have had to give a sample to rule them out, to make sure it wasn't a paramedic, the coroner, an investigator, a police officer, the photographer, whoever, right? So if all 5 of the Routier families are tested and everybody on the scene was tested and they still are able to pick up a foreign eligible profile, that would indicate that someone else was in the home. So the Innocence Project is paying for all of the shipping. Another thing I thought was interesting was Dallas County has, which I used to live around there. The stories are not as bad as Louisiana, but there's some like really good DPD corruption stories. So I thought it was interesting that Dallas County has an integrity unit, and 2 of their attorneys from the integrity unit signed off on this. They didn't give any pushback. They weren't trying to appeal it. So all 4 of Darlie's attorneys agreed, and the 2 attorneys from the Dallas County integrity unit agreed. And here's the interesting part. Now, this is the part I don't have all the answers to. So one of Darlie's lawyers, Smith, he's the one that's in the last defense, and he's been on the case forever. He gave a statement in the Dallas Morning News that said many of the items that are being sent for analysis have never undergone DNA testing. So I do know the items that are going to be tested are, you ready? Now here's the part, I don't know what's been tested and what hasn't. I do know that the knife's been tested, and I do know the sock's been tested. Only because that was a big part of the transcript. The knife did not have Devin's blood on it, so I know it's been tested. And the sock had 1 tiny drop of each of the boys' blood on it, did not have Darlie's. So I know that's been tested. So what's going to be tested? The sock is going to be retested. Hairs from the sock, which I think is interesting because they said it was an adult, like a unisex adult-sized sock. So who the hell did that sock belong to? Like, pretty sure if they would have shown up and Darlie would have had 1 sock on, then it would have been documented. The sock, hairs from the sock, Darlie's shirt, blankets and pillowcases from the scene, jeans worn by Darlie, the boys' fingernail clippings, the knife, and hairs on the knife. They have, okay, so let's talk about the fingerprint on, they do have, and I'm so mad my internet's not working. It has a name. It's like, it's a fingerprint, right? They have a fingerprint that, and I need to go back and refresh my memory. If I remember correctly, the fingerprint was partially tested or smeared in the beginning. I think they said, see, I feel like I'm about to put out misinformation if I'm not right. I think in the beginning they said it was not enough to be tested, but come to find out it actually was, and it's an unidentified fingerprint. And the name of it, if you're reading stuff like on her website, it's J something. It's like J and the numbers, because that's the evidence identification number that was assigned in trial. Yes, okay. Someone said you're correct. They also thought it was too small for an adult. Yeah, so it's a fingerprint in blood. It's a little smudged. Yeah, J85 or something. J85 or J95 or something like that. It was a little smudged. Originally, they said it wasn't enough to be tested. Come to find out, I think they retested it, and it was technically a foreign eligible profile. And I think she's been fighting for a long time to get it run through the database to see who it belongs to, because they know it doesn't belong to anyone at the scene, but they don't know who it belongs to. They found Darren's DNA on the sock. They talk about it in the YouTube documentary. Okay, Angelina, I promise you I'm going to finish it before I go to bed tonight, okay? That's my homework for myself, I promise. Okay, so I don't know the answer to all these questions. These are really good questions. People are saying, was it checked against first responders? Was there anything under Darlie's fingernails? Could the evidence deteriorate? It was a partial fingerprint, but there were 7 to 9 pinpoints. That was a foreign profile. What's epithelial? I don't even know what that means, girl. Because now we have like multiple systems. Yes, so we've come a long way, right? And here's the other thing. How does your DNA and how do your fingerprints get in the system? Well, a multitude of ways. You can commit a crime. That's how most people's get in the system. You can join the military. You can get some kind of license that requires you to be fingerprinted, whatever. So it is not uncommon in crime cases for them to run the DNA in the beginning. The case goes cold, and then what happens? People can't be on their best behavior forever. So that offender goes out and re-offends, and then he gets caught. And when he gets caught, he gets booked. And in many states, if you are convicted of a felony, it might be every state, I'm not sure, but I know in many states, if you're convicted of a felony, you do not have the right to decline to donate collect your DNA. So they take every person who's convicted of a felony or certain level of felonies, and they put them in the DNA database. And so oftentimes just going back and periodically rerunning those pieces of evidence is how they end up catching someone. So what if when they ran that back then, it didn't come back to anybody, but what if now it would? Yes, the black car. Okay. This is again where I don't want to misspeak because I'm doing all this from memory from like 15 years ago, but there was a suspicious black vehicle. I talked about this a little bit in my last live. So the neighborhood that Darlie lived in at the time, it's still a decent neighborhood. I think the house recently sold for like $450,000. But back in the day, it was a very nice neighborhood. And a lot of the people who lived there were the kind of people who would call 911 and say, do you know how much I pay for my property taxes? And I pay your salary, police officer. And if you don't hurry up and come here and check out this 1981 beat up Mustang with mismatching door panel colors, I'm going to report you to the chief of police because I pay your salary. It was that kind of neighborhood, right? So multiple people had called the police because this beat up old black car was in a neighborhood it didn't belong in. And I cannot remember the exact details, and I wish I had more hours in the day because now I need to finish the last offense and I also need to finish the YouTube video. But if my memory serves me correct, that car was tied back to the police chief's son, who was a known drug addict and a drug dealer. Jason asked if I pay to watch you. Y'all, that's my niece. You want to go show her some love? I would never take your money, Ray Ray. I would be interested to hear Jason's perspective on some of this because, you know, what he does for a living. I'm not trying to put your business out there. So, do I remember correctly that car was tied to the police chief's son and he had a known history of selling drugs and using drugs? Yeah, that's what I thought. Any prior CPS history? Nope. Everybody says that she was a doting mom. Now, do we want to talk about the neighbor? The neighbor that said she was a bad mom because she let her 16-year-old babysitter smoke cigarettes and she didn't supervise her children. They were out at the lake and she let her boys that were not strong swimmers run up and down the dock without appropriate supervision. I think that's just a difference in parenting style. Like, I don't think that means you're going to murder your children. The black car was seen that afternoon. The documentary is called The Last Defense. And Kristen, if you want to go to my page, I made a video about it today. Yeah, she let them ride their bikes in the road. She let them ride their bikes in the road with not as much supervision as Karen across the street thought that they should have. She let her 16-year-old babysitter smoke cigarettes. And when they went to the lake, she let her children run around close to the dock without life jackets on. I mean, basically, she's guilty, right? They had Karens in 1996 too. Yeah, where were they supposed to ride their bikes? Where? Exactly. Clutching my pearls. She was probably trying to keep the babysitter. But they let that lady take the stand and testify against... Oh, actually, I don't remember if she testified or if she just wrote a statement. But, like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? That literally doesn't have anything to do with shit. Okay, silly string. So I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself because we did talk about a lot of this stuff in my last slide, but I know some of y'all probably missed it. Yeah, it was the 90s. I rode my bike. I could have ridden my bike 15 miles away back then. As long as I was home by the time the light came on, that's all that mattered. Okay, let's talk about the grave site. Let's talk about the silly string. So, Jennifer, I mean, you're basically gonna be on death row. I don't know what else to tell you. You shouldn't let your 14-year-old play basketball outside unsupervised. Just kidding. So the silly string, that got a lot of people. Here's the kicker. If you guys have watched The Last Defense, the girl, her sister that I keep referencing, it was her idea. It was her idea. Those were her nephews. She was in 8th grade. It was her idea to use a silly string. And Darlie was just trying to do what happens when you're grieving? Like, you try to lift people up. Let's make you smile. This is what the boys would want. I can't tell you how many times I heard that at my dad's funeral. Your dad wouldn't want you to be sad. David wouldn't want everybody to be sad. David wanted everybody to be drinking a beer and celebrating and listening to polka music. Well, good thing I wasn't under scrutiny to be charged with his schmurder. Thank you. Well, the courts didn't get to see the sad part. All they saw was the silly string part. But here's the backstory. So it was 7 days before his birthday. And yes, Rachel. It was 7 days before his birthday. So the invitations had gone out. People had already bought gifts. She even went as far as to tell people, don't take your gifts back. Bring your gifts. Bring them. Put them on the gravesite. Give him his gifts. Give him his birthday presents. Because that's what the boys would have wanted. So they had a prayer vigil. Everybody was crying. It was what you would think of as what society would say is normal for a grieving process around a gravesite. And then at the very end, they decided to use silly string. And listen to this. He didn't do a very good job at all, Sandy. The defense attorney didn't even try to object to having it entered. That video was obtained without a warrant. That video was obtained illegally. And her defense attorney didn't even try. He allowed it. He permitted it. It's not even that he tried to get it thrown out and was overruled. He didn't even try. So, what was I saying? Darlie even says, during the video, she says, oh my God, are we allowed to do this? Are we going to get in trouble? I'll clean it up, I promise. She was even cognizant enough to be worried about like the littering effect of silly string. Nobody was worried about that in 1996. That's shit people think about now. Nowadays, people would be like, is that biodegradable? Is that organic? It was 1996 and she was worried about cleaning up the silly string. To me, that just shows that she had like a compassion. She had insight. That's not someone who murders their children. Gangster's Paradise played at the funeral. Yes, Gangster's Paradise played at the funeral because that was the boys' favorite song and they said it was in poor taste. But you know what? I think that means she was parenting the right way. The fact that her little 5 and 7-year-old or 5 and 6, almost 7-year-old son were rocking out to Gangster's Paradise and were introduced to Coolio shows me that she was a cool mom. A cool mom that lets her kids ride their bike in the street and lets their 16-year-old babysitter smoke cigarettes. I forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me that. Yeah, that was their favorite song, so they played Gangster's Paradise. Darren had used him previously, correct? No. Well, okay. No, he had not used him previously. That's a misconception. They had talked about, it wasn't like Mulder had not represented Darren prior to the boys being unalived. When they started realizing that they couldn't go to trial with a court-appointed attorney, Darlie Key, which is Darlie's mom, we call her Darlie Key so that you can separate them, that's her last name. Darlie Key started asking around. She had like a friend that was did some kind of civil law, and she was like, who do we need? So he went and kind of like pulled his lawyer friends, and everybody provided a list of 3 or 4 names, and Mulder was on everybody's list. He had a phenomenal reputation. I think he had never lost a murder trial. He was the DA's worst nightmare. When they saw he was on the case, they were like, oh shit, because he had such a great reputation, he didn't do dog shit for her. Well, when they were talking with him, like in July and August, before they actually paid to retain him, this is from memory, this is what I think happened. There was a misunderstanding about whether he was going to represent Darren or whether he was supposed to represent Darlie. And so Darren, I believe, confided in him. I don't like to put out misinformation. I'm not real sure about this part, but I think that Darren was under the impression that he was going to be his lawyer because he did represent him in a hearing, but it was related to Darlie's case. So the judge accused Darren of breaking a gag order, and Mulder represented Darren in that hearing. Darren thought that meant he is my representation, where then that would have been a conflict of interest. He would have never been able to represent Darlie if he had represented the spouse, because that's a conflict. So they ended up retaining him for Darlie. And then I think that's what led to the affidavit where Darren ends up going on record stating that someone stole his Jaguar for insurance money and he wanted someone to hire a U-Haul and blah, blah, blah. Yes, the court-appointed attorney, he's in the last offense. I think he's in the 1st or 2nd episode. He put in more work. Like, he was ready. He said, like, I needed a year and a half, but I could have been ready in 6 months. It would have been pushing it. And then like 6 or 7 weeks before, he had to hand over all of his work to the $95,000 attorney that did jack shit for her. Rachel, go to my page. I made a video today, and it's a me talking with a screenshot in the back, and it has the name of the website you can get all 4 of the episodes off of. Or I'll text it to you when I hang up. Yeah, the court-appointed attorney wrote a letter about his concerns, and even the state said there was a conflict of interest. Yep. There's so much reasonable doubt. I think he was accused of breaking attorney-client privilege. I'm not sure. I need to refresh my memory on that part. Yeah, to me, it's mind-blowing to me that it's so clear for us all to see. And again, nobody in here, I don't think any of us are saying she absolutely did it. It is a airtight, open and closed case. But I think everybody would say there's absolutely reasonable doubt, and we don't understand how this woman hasn't at least gotten a new trial. Serena, I love that you have a notebook. And like the DNA, how long she's been waiting for this DNA to be tested, I can't even imagine. I cannot imagine. I went through a court thing recently with some family members over in a state, and it lasted almost 3 years exactly. And I thought that was just like ridiculous and drawn out, unnecessary, unfair. 27 years. 2008. I think that's the first DNA that she won. The first like request for new DNA that she won. 2008. What? And there's literally nothing she can do about it. She's completely helpless. How did the state explain the defense wounds and bruises? Said they were self-inflicted. So what we decided in my last live was the only way for her to get her entire arm black and blue was for her to like repeatedly ram her entire arm into a concrete wall, or maybe shut it repeatedly in a car door. And the real killer is out there living his life like nothing happened. Okay, so that brings me to the next part. Yes, she's right-handed, and she was stabbed in her right arm. Who do we think did it? I want to hear what y'all say. Who do y'all think did it? Did I ever find the probable cause, David? I did not find it online, but if you watch The Last Defense, which I put a video up today, it's me talking with a screenshot behind me, and the website is on there. A girl named Andrea found it for us. If you pause your screen, the arrest affidavit is on the screen, and you can read it. I would Google it, but my laptop is down. Okay, let me see. Rachel, when you say father, you mean father of the boys, like the husband? Okay, let's see. Did no one have cameras? No, they didn't have cameras. This was 27 years ago. The courts are backed up 3 years. I just testified in a case from 2019. Okay, but this case is from 1996. And I feel people were influenced by the Susan Smith case. I agree with that. Husband and someone he hired. Someone husband hired. I think the husband. I'm 75% Darren. I think Darren, or he had someone do it. Darren with maybe someone helping. The husband hiring help. Someone stalking Darlie. Ooh, that's interesting. Not likely it was a random robbery unless it was planned. Someone knew. I feel like Darren hired it out. I feel like it went wrong because she wasn't supposed to live. Whoever was in the black car, definitely the husband. I think maybe someone obsessed with her, or the whole family, or the husband paid someone. If it's not Darren, then it's someone he hired. I think he hired someone. I still think she did it. That's interesting to me, Kim. But I respect that. If you can listen to all this and you still think she did it, I get it. I mean, a jury of her peers did too. They absolutely didn't meet the burden of proof to me. Not unless you were... Does Darlie have enemies? Like, how did he not hear anything? Someone in the neighborhood. Here's the other thing. You guys who have finished The Last Defense, remind me, does it talk about this in The Last Defense, or I can't remember if I read it in the transcript. They were supposed to be out of town, and the Jaguar was in the shop. Maybe the Karen neighbor. His excuse of not hearing anything is BS to me, and I'm shocked the PD did not think the same thing. I don't think the PD they didn't want to think. They had tunnel vision. Yeah, that was the first night. She said that was the first night since she had the baby that she had slept downstairs and been away from the baby. So I think it is interesting it was that same night too. Yep, Nicole, we were talking about the black car. What about the car that had been driving around for like 2 weeks before and the day of? At first, he said he heard the glass break. Then he said he heard Darlie scream first. They were going out of town, but the car had problems. Okay, that's what it was. Okay, Karen said, did the husband say, hey, honey, why don't you sleep downstairs tonight? So this is one thing I think is interesting, and I don't think it gets talked about in The Last Defense. In the affidavit, which remember, he says... He goes back later and recants everything he put in the affidavit. He says he said it to help her out. But in the affidavit, he says, in the late evening on June 5th, 1996, remember it happened at 2 o'clock in the morning on June 6th. In the late evening of June 5th, 1996, I had a verbal disagreement with my wife, Darlie Lynn Routier. During that discussion, my wife asked me for a marital separation. Yeah, she's on the Mountain View unit in Gatesville. Did Darlie and her husband have any marital issues? Yes. So yes. The other thing I want to talk about at some time, I don't think we have time tonight. I want to talk about her journal, because she does talk about postpartum depression, and she does make suicidal ideations in her journal. When I was in prison in Texas, I was in that unit. Did you meet her? I don't know if you had any contact with death row, but did you ever see her or meet her? She gave a description, a very vague description of a white male. Our PPD murders usually focus on the infant child. Well, so, okay, someone that has the ability to Google right now, I don't. Can y'all Google this for me? There was a time when I remember, like, multiple people where I lived that were accused of murdering their kids. One of them was like, okay, so my street was right here, and Darlie's family was like either 1 or 2 streets over. Well, if you went 1 street this way and like 2 streets over, right around the same time that the incident with Darlie happened, a lady that lived over there unalived her 2 kids. So can someone Google Plano, Texas? There was 2 incidents that happened. One lady was on the other side of town. She cut her baby's arms off with a knife that she had in her house. And another lady in Plano, Texas, at the same time, she called her husband and she said, something's wrong with the girls. You need to come home. And when he came home, she had put them both in bed and like tucked them perfectly in bed, and she had drowned them with lotion. She put a bottle of lotion over their nose and their mouth, and she drowned them with the lotion. And I want to say that both of those ladies were going to the same OBGYN, and they both were being treated for postpartum. And I think, if I remember correctly, it was all around the same time. And I think it all, like Susan Smith, Darlie, and then the 2 ladies in Plano. When did the Dina whatever, when did that happen? Yes, the woman who lived in Plano, Texas, November of 2004, used a knife to amputate the arms. Okay, so that was like 10 years after Darlie. But I just remember this time period where like there was a movement of blaming this on women. And I think at the same time there was also another case somewhere where a lady like repeatedly threw her baby off of a 2nd or 3rd floor balcony. Like it didn't work the first time, and she like went down the stairs, picked the baby up, took it back upstairs, and did it again. And I think officers just kind of got like this, it became like a scapegoat. And I think it was around the same time also as Andrea Yates. Wasn't she the lady in Houston that drowned her children in the bathtub? I don't think that Darlie had postpartum that led her to do this. I don't think that. I think it's unfortunate that as a woman who was suffering from some depression during postpartum, she had the therapeutic benefit or guidance or knowledge to journal her thoughts, because that is a therapeutic benefit. As a therapist, that has been recommended for as long as I've ever read literature and studied the therapeutic process, right? They tell you, put it on paper. If you don't feel comfortable, burn it afterwards or shred it afterwards, but get it out. It's a form of relief. There's data that shows that there is a physical emotional release to putting your words on paper. And she did that, and then they were used against her. Yes, isn't her name Andrea Yates, Monica? Finish watching the YouTube doc. He talks about this. Okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna watch the damn YouTube documentary. I just think it's really sad that she had her words used against her. Exactly. See, that's what I'm saying. Why would she only kill 2 of the... I don't think the PPD... I think she was experiencing it, but I think the timing was absolutely awful because I think they held that against her and it wasn't a contributing factor because she didn't do it. Who do I think did it? I'm sorry, Katie. Who do I think did it? Again, I don't know that I can say that I think anyone did it. What I can say to not be irresponsible is that I think her husband was the only one with a motive or a benefit or had something to gain from a situation like this. I also think Darren was upstairs the whole time. I don't think that if that theory is correct, I don't think he was physically involved. I think he may have done some of the groundwork. Or I also think maybe there is a possibility that this was something he had set up from when they were supposed to be out of town before they had car troubles. And remember, this was 1996. You couldn't just pick up the phone and text somebody, right? I mean, if they had text messaging, then it was like what? $1.50 a message or something, and not everybody had a cell phone. Maybe he meant to call it off. Maybe it was supposed to be a burglary. Maybe it was supposed to be an insurance scam, and maybe he meant to call it off. And maybe when the person came into the house, they were startled, and maybe they freaked. I don't know. Yeah, everybody had a beeper back then. And also, if we're tying in the black car, if we're tying in the fact that maybe he had connections to shady people, because what kind of shady people commit insurance scams, right? If they're using, maybe he got his dates mixed up. Maybe he didn't remember that he wasn't supposed to go that night. Yeah, Serena, that's in the affidavit. You want me to read the affidavit? Her husband has remarried, but they didn't get divorced until like 2011. Okay, so in the affidavit, he says, my name is Darren Routier. I'm over the age of 21, blah, 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 the whole little legal jargon. In 1994, I spoke to a person about my Jaguar automobile. And that conversation, I said that it wouldn't bother me if my Jaguar was stolen. That person then stole my Jaguar. In March or April of 1996, remember this happened in June. In March or April of 1996, I asked my father-in-law, Robbie Gene Key, that is Darlie's mom's husband, so Darlie's stepdad. In March or April of 1996, I asked my father-in-law, Robbie Gene Key, if he knew anyone who would agree to burglarize my home as part of an insurance scam. I said that I would arrange for my family to be absent from my home at 5801 Eagle Drive, that someone who I would hire would come to the house and take away the furniture and other items from my house in a U-Haul truck, and that I would then pay that person from the proceeds of the resulting insurance payments. Between March 1996 and May of 1996, I told multiple people of my planned insurance scam. Why would he let his wife stay in jail if it didn't go as planned? Because he didn't want to be in jail? Are the boys' wounds different sizes? Well, remember, Misty, we talked about this last time. I don't even know that that's a valid question, because if when you use a knife, if you tilt this way or tilt that way, or if your victim moves or this or that, and the gash becomes larger, that's not indicative of a different size knife. Why did he confess all that? So that's the part I need to dig around. If my memory, I'm like only 75% positive of this part. If my memory serves me correct, there was a whole issue about his attorney breaking what Darren perceived to be client-attorney privilege. Because there was Mulder did represent him in a court hearing. It wasn't a whole case against him, but there was a hearing about the gag order. As part of Darlie's case, Darren was accused of breaking the gag order that the judge put in place. And in that hearing, Mulder represented Darren. Mulder then went on to represent Darlie, and it became a conflict of interest. And if my memory serves me correct, I think he had to give this testimony because Mulder brought up all of the things that Darren told him, but Darren told him those things in confidence, thinking that was his attorney when he was representing him in that hearing. But then, yes, he later says that they came up with this whole story to help Darlie. So I don't know. But what I do know is that it's a crime to go under oath and lie. Would I lie for Pierre? Yes. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know where the truth lies. The Book of Faces website called. So there's a really active group. There's a bunch of active groups on Facebook. 99% of them hate her and think that she should have already been. But there is one called Free Darlie. Why kill 2 sleeping kids that could not identify you if it wasn't planned? Maybe you're on drugs and you panic. A lot of people do crazy things on drugs. I don't know. I'm not saying I think that happened. I think it's a possibility. The police even felt he was involved, so why not charge him for the other child's death? Remember, we don't have Devin's blood on a murder weapon. Nobody does. To this day, they don't. So I don't know that anyone would have ever been charged with Devin's murder. Does Darlie's family suspect Darren? I do not know. I do know that she wrote a letter. Okay, I also keep saying I'm going to write her again. I've written her a few times. Her letterhead that she writes you back on has a subdued, like a very light image in the background of Devin and Damon, of their glamour shots. You know, they have their back to each other. Or I think she also has some where they're like holding their hands. It's very sweet. But anyways, she did write someone recently, and they outright asked her if she felt like Darren was involved, and she said, I wonder that myself now. But that's all she said. You also have to, understand my perception of, Darlie and Darren. So, remember, this was a different time. This was 1996. She met him at a steakhouse, in Lubbock, Texas, when she was high school age, and he was a little bit older, and they got married. She got pregnant right away. She had her first baby 9 months after their wedding, and by the age of 26, she had 3 kids, and she lived a great lifestyle, and she didn't work, and there were never any allegations of her being dishonest or stepping out of her marriage or breaking her vows or cheating. Never. I don't know that she would ever speak against Darren. Even now, I don't know that she would. Casey, do you know who bought it? I know they remodeled it, but I couldn't believe how much it sold for. Yes, I see. January 2014, Melinda Munez, unalive 2-year-old Grace Ford. Yep. No, she divorced him. They got divorced in 2011, and that was 12 years ago. She has still never spoken out. Here's what I want to know. This is what I think is really weird about the house. Yes, that's my dog snoring. That house sold in 1997, like in the summer. So like a year after, right? That house sold in 1997. When they put that house on the market again recently, it went on the market in like fall of 2022 and it didn't sell and they kept having to drop the price. And then they went in and remodeled everything and they upped the price like 100,000 and it sold. The photos in the fall of 2022 have the same curtains from the murder. From 1990. First of all, when that person bought that house in 1997, why would they not have gotten rid of those curtains? Why? And then they were still there. I want to say the house went up for sale for like in like September or October of 2022. Still there. And there were these really god-awful like maroon floor-length curtains that had this big gold banded like braided tie around the middle with the tassel, like so outdated. Do I think there was mental and emotional abuse and that's why she hasn't spoken out? I don't think so. You think it could be a 25-year-old real estate picture? I don't think so. And you know what? I was like, if anybody buys this house, it has to be because it's like an investor's dream come true. No, it sold for $450,000. I don't know if the wall borders are still there. We'll have to look. Y'all can look up the address. Actually, I have it right here if y'all want to look it up. Google it. Ready? 5801 Eagle Drive. 5801 Eagle Drive in Rowlett. Now it's been completely remodeled, but the pictures that were up originally, if you can find the original listing from like, somebody go down and see when it, the price history is down there. When did it get listed? Because it sold in like 97 and then it got listed and then the price dropped, and then they took it off the market and you can tell they remodeled and then they put back on the market for like $100,000 more. Eagle. Are you sure it sold for $394? I thought they raised it. I thought it was listed as that and then they raised it. I could be wrong though. I was going to say I have the pictures saved on my phone. I was going to say I could show y'all, but I can't because I'm on my phone. The cop that showed up because he was in the area had some insight on what was going down that night. You think so? If you go to Realtor, I hate Zillow. If you go to Realtor.com, it tells you the last price it was on the market for. Doesn't necessarily mean that that's what it sold for, but I know it started with a 4. 419,000. There you go. Okay, hold on. I think I can show you the pictures. Do y'all see the curtains? Okay, y'all want to see the window? This is the window. Look how small and low to the ground it is. Wait, let me make sure nothing else is showing on here that I'm not. Okay. Y'all see that? Can somebody put the address in there? Sold 4.3. Yeah, they took it off the market and they redid it. Because he says Darren ran out the front door. Darren did go across the street. There was a nurse that lived across the street. What MacBook is this one that's old as shit? No, but Rachel, look. Okay, hold on. Let me make this big. Okay. It only opens up right there. So you have to be able to get through that part of the window. It's so peculiar. Let me find the curtains. Y'all, look at these curtains. This is from 2022. What are you looking up? We know who. All you have to do is look up on the CAD. You want me to? Here, I can look it up and tell you who owns it. I'm not going to say the person's name, but I just want to look. They probably thought just clean them and go. Show again. Okay, hold on. Hold on. These are from 2022. Long curtains will be back again one day. And it had already sold. The house had already sold 2 times. But like, I don't understand why they kept those. Okay, they're expensive, but blood. Okay, let's find out who owns the house. The value of the home on the CAD is, which in Texas, county appraisal district, I don't know if everyone has that. The value of the home is $458,440. Would I buy it and live there? I would. Well, I'm a freak though. I lived in a house in Mesquite, Texas that a man had hung himself in the garage and there was a chunk of like drywall missing or sheetrock or whatever the hell it's called. And his name was Fred. I don't really know if his name was Fred, but I named him Fred and I talked to him all the time. My dad came up to that house and helped me get moved in. And I used to be like, hey, Fred, what's going on? Ooh, and interesting. A single female bought that house. What's the neighbor's house worth? Oh, that's a good point. Let's see if it devalued the home. Ooh, Jerry, that's a very, they push that franchise to veterans a lot. That's a good gig. Okay, let me pick a random number. What do we want to pick? Like 5802? 5802 Eagle Drive is worth $370,000. So the Schmurder house is worth more. Please tell me that's not the one I stayed in. In Mesquite, I don't remember. This one was in Mesquite. It was kind of in a bad neighborhood. It had hardwood floors. The garage was detached. It was a 2-bedroom. That's the one with Fred. I'm not going to say the owner's name, veteran. Why would I say the owner's name? Yes, you do have to disclose. In the state of Texas, at least, Monica. Yeah, then Rachel, that's probably it. Okay, admin, we see you. Rachel's not my admin. Rachel's my niece. It was put on hold, Texas Gal, because they remodeled it, and then it sold for more. Let me pull it up. Let's see. My niece Rachel makes really cool cookies. Like, she decorates cookies, and I was trying to get her to get back into doing it and put it on TikTok. See, Rachel? Look, I told you. Ooh, Grandma, I would love that. You could be, Rachel. You could be. Your cookies are phenomenal. See? Cheyenne said, you should totally do the cookies on TikTok. Serena, you went to TVCC? So did I. How did you know that? Yes, Trinity Valley. Who brought that up? How did you? Oh, this is so random, but I think we went to TVCC together. I did. I got my associates from there. I just followed you. It's pinned. I was looking right over it. My bad. My bad. Look, I'd watch cookies, make cookies with a true crime voiceover. Well, I don't know how to make cookies. I don't even know how to fucking boil water. Yes, like on Cheer, Trinity Valley Community College. Yes. Yes, that was Darlie's house. She looks over pins sometimes. Poor Katie. How do you put up with me, Katie? That's my dog breathing. And look, there's my TVCC, Trinity Valley Community College. I'm telling you, Rachel. I'll post about them. Okay, let's see. I don't know how to look up a sale price. So many people will sit forever and just watch people make food. I do. I will watch an entire damn recipe knowing I don't even know how to pronounce half the ingredients. She is a bulldog, so she has an underbite, so it's how she breathes. I thought I was hearing myself at first. I thought it was my hubby. I was listening to one of my videos one time. I was like reading comments in the car, and I thought my car was haunted and my like dog that passed away was in there. I was like, is that Braxton breathing? And I forgot it was Stella breathing in the background of one of my videos. I did the Fonzies. Hey, did you guys know, speaking of the Burgos Aviles, last night he got life without the possibility of parole, and I started diving online, and I learned that a law enforcement officer has never received the death penalty in the United States. Never. Not even Derek Chauvin. So I thought that was interesting. I want to see what the neighbor's house looks like that is valued at less than the murder house. And see, it looks so big from the outside. It's only 2,700 square feet, and that's big. I don't live in houses that big, but it's not as big as it looks. Yes, Serena, it was. Susan Smith is going to get released. It looks like a bow. I didn't mean for it to. It just didn't all fit. So I just had to do that. She said he will be safe and not in the public. They get it. Yeah. I think they said he's going to go into segregation because he's high risk. Susan Smith is the lady that drove her kids into the lake in her car and then pretended like she didn't know what happened to him and went on the news and was like, if anybody has my children, please return them to me. It was relisted for $419 and then sold a month later. That's where all police officers go. Yeah. You were an EMT? You pulled the car out? What? Mel Baker, you pulled the car out when the kids were in it? What? No way. Girl, I'm so sorry. Did the department that you work for like offer you guys counseling or anything? What's up, Cajun lady? Yeah, how is Susan Smith getting out? I don't remember. Did she take like a psych plea or something? Baby Brianna's mom's out with the same attorney that Alexi Treviso is using. You were an EMT at 16? Good for you. Overachieving. I wasn't doing shit at 16. I worked at Subway. Oh, you were a volunteer. Wow. Can I ask you a question? Is it triggering? Rachel, shut up. Yeah, she said she was a volunteer. Smoking cigarettes with the babysitter. Mel, were they strapped in? Like, I don't remember how old they were. Were they in car seats? Who said, yo, who said she was smoking cigarettes with the babysitter? Knew she was lying from the beginning because she'd have road rash from hanging on the car. Marilyn, that was funny. That was funny as shit. I followed you for that one. Michael was out of his car seat holding Alex's hand. What? Oh my God. So Mel Baker says she was on the scene when Susan Smith's car was pulled out of the water, and the 3-year-old was out of its car seat or seatbelt and was holding the hand of the baby. Or I might have had it backwards. I don't remember how old they were or what their names were. Oh my God. She got pregnant in prison? Thank you. That's why a tarp was put over the car. They were still inside and they were put in one casket. Did you guys know there was a letter found inside the car? So I just Googled and found a hold on. Okay, there's an article that says inside car carrying Smith's drowned sons, diver found letter from ex-lover. And this was posted by the New York Times in 1995. It says visibility was only about a foot when Steve Morrow, a diver searching for a missing car, floated to the burgundy Mazda that lay upside down in the cold water. I had to put my light against the window and peer in. I was able to see a small hand pressed against the glass. Inside the car were the bodies of Smith's sons. So many pop-ups on this website. Inside the car were the bodies of Smith's sons, Michael, 3 years old. Oh my God, there's so many pop-ups. I can't even read this fucking article. Well, I can't read the article. It says I've used up my free articles and I have to subscribe. Let me find it on another website. Okay, here it is. Oh, this is archived. Oh, God. It's actually... Okay, I'm really bad at this. She slept with 2 prison guards while in prison. Is that who got her pregnant? Jesus. Dude, she was just sleeping around all over. There's all kinds of articles. The most startling testimony came from Smith's ex-lover, Thomas Finley, who said aloud in open court what has been whispered in the small southern town since Susan Smith confessed to murder last fall, that she had been having a secret affair with her stepfather. Did we know this? What? Did we know this? Let me reread this. The most startling testimony came from Smith's ex-lover, Thomas Finley, who said aloud in open court what has been whispered in this small southern town since Susan Smith confessed to murder last fall. She had been having a secret affair with her stepfather, Beverly Russell. Also, who names their son Beverly? What the fuck? Finley said Smith was in a suicidal panic the day before her children disappeared because she feared her estranged husband, David, was going to make it public that she had cheated on him with her stepfather, who was then active in the Christian Coalition and state Republican Party politics. Of course he's in the Christian Coalition. Of course. What? What? She later went on to state that she had been SA'd by her stepfather since she was 16. So maybe she's trying to say it was not a consensual, or maybe there was a little bit of like Stockholm syndrome going on. But was she still like consenting and engaging in it currently? Now I need a smoke break with the babysitter. Y'all. Did y'all see my comment? I posted, Marilyn, look what you started. I posted a video about Burgos Aviles and how he got life without parole. Did you see that somebody said, I can't believe his lawyer that he got off of Wish worked? Did y'all see? But why does she really look like she came from Wish? Timo, where are you at? Y'all, I don't think she washed her hair one single time through the whole trial. I think she colored her own hair with like just bleached out like racing stripes. And her eyebrows, y'all. Oh my god. Should have gone with Schmamers. And you know what I think made that comment even funnier is that the lady who left it is a little bit older. It's like, even she knows about Wish. I laughed so fucking hard when I read that comment. She said he even got off with his lawyer from Wish. Yes. And then I looked at her profile pic and I was like, there's no way she's that funny. Exactly. That's why you can't judge a book by its cover. You can't. Oh my god. But you know what? That Wish lawyer kept him from getting the death penalty. Let's hope Lexi isn't shopping on Temu. Oh my god. That was so funny. Oh. Okay, so who were the love letters with? Should have went with eBay. Who was Susan Smith writing love letters to that were found in the car? Can I ask you if you are from Watson? I don't know what Watson is, so I'm not from there. Temu could never. Okay, back to Susan Smith. What lover did she have a letter from in the car? Oh, Finley, the guy that said that. Okay. Obviously her stepfather. Okay, so Finley, the guy, that's who the letter was from, and he's the one that spilled the beans about the stepfather. He is a balding graphic designer. Why'd they have to put balding in there? It literally says he is a balding graphic designer. Darlie's attorney was $95,000 from Goodwill. I cannot believe they put his... You read balding so nonchalantly because it didn't process yet. Finley, a slight... Look, I'm going to show y'all. Can y'all see that? It says right here, Finley, a slight balding graphic designer. Okay, be serious. Be serious. Okay. How can you be serious when they're talking about a balding graphic designer? Appeared to exchange a quick half smile with Smith from the stand during a break in his testimony. How are you going to be flirting with her? He said their affair began around Christmas of '93 and ended the following March when David Smith angrily warned him to stay away from his wife. Smiling nervously and occasionally stumbling over his words, he described an emotionally volatile Smith days before she sent her car rolling into the lake with her children strapped into their car seats. He had begun seeing Smith again last September after she assured him that she was in the process of divorcing her husband. A 24-year-old produce worker at the local Winn-Dixie. Why is that relevant? Why do we need to know that Finley is balding and her husband was a produce worker? They're saying Susan Smith was going to be outed by her ex for cheating on him with Finley. Well, but he... Yes. No. Susan Smith's husband knew she had had an affair with Finley, but Finley says that she was afraid her ex, which wasn't her ex, it was actually her husband, was going to tell everyone that she was having an affair with her stepfather. Well, also remember this was written in 1990, whatever, 5. So I feel like back then we used to put people in class systems more and comment on people's appearances more, which clearly we're still doing because I just talked about the wish lawyer. But Susan Smith also worked in the produce section of her local Winn-Dixie before becoming a secretary at Conso, the local plant owned by Finley's father. Ooh, so she was sleeping with the owner's son. But on October 16th, Finley testified that Smith finally acknowledged she was not even separated from her husband. We agreed the intimate part of our relationship should be postponed until she was divorced. On October 17th, so the next day, Smith gave him a greeting card and a handwritten letter accepting their breakup and pledging her eternal friendship, saying, "I will always love and care for you for the rest of my life." First of all, who gives a greeting card and a letter? You just write the shit in the greeting card. Finley delivered his response to Smith at work the next day, writing, "Okay, what? You wrote her back?" "You are intelligent, beautiful, sensitive, understanding, and possess many other wonderful qualities that I and many other men appreciate. You will without a doubt make some lucky man a great wife. But unfortunately, it won't be me, and also not your current husband." He didn't put that, but he should have. Finley went on to write, "Susan, I could really fall for you, but like I have told you before, there are some things about you that aren't suited for me, and yes, I'm speaking about your children." What? Not a breakup card. I just blocked my ex. A breakup card and a reply. A breakup card and a letter. Okay, so I didn't know this. Well, also because I was 8 when this happened. But so Finley wrote her back and said, "There are some things about you that aren't suited for me, and yes, I'm speaking about your children. The fact is, I just don't want children." So she got rid of the children so she could have him back? Does he feel guilty? Does he have a TikTok? I have questions. But the letters, both friendly in tone, did not reveal that witnesses described as Smith's growing anxiety or her ploys for attention from Finley, who said she gratefully described his "Dear Susan" missive as the sweetest letter she'd ever gotten. That was a strangely written paragraph. Wow. I'm shocked. Finley said his relationship with Susan took a confusing turn in the days before Smith killed her children. According to Finley, Smith claimed her husband was tapping her phone and having her followed, that she had an affair with Finley's father. What? So she told him, she just gave him a greeting card and a handwritten letter, and then she tells him she slept with his dad. Then she confessed the following day that she made up the story of the affair with the elder Finley to test his son's feelings for her, that she was considering having an affair with the husband of a good friend, and that she had had an affair with Beverly Russell, her stepdad, and that David Smith was going to publicize it. Smith's supervisor, Sandra Williams, testified about the day Michael and Alex Smith disappeared. I asked her what's wrong, and she said everything. It's a very, very poorly written article, but that's the gist of it. Also, I feel like I just read y'all a bedtime story. Hallmark breaking hearts in the produce section. Wow. Do we think she's going to get out? Let's go back to her prison shenanigans. What's she doing in prison? She's sleeping with prison guards? You're welcome, Carrie. Have y'all watched some of y'all might follow Charles Manson. I've never really followed him. Did y'all know that Tex, the man follower of Manson, he fathered 4 children in prison? What does this woman look like? Oh yeah, let's see her. She got game. She might not be getting them because of her looks. She might have the magic. You know what? That's what she looks like now? No. Y'all, she got prettier in prison. Okay. What? Hold on. Okay. Let me find a picture of what she looked like then. Where's the picture when she went? Well, okay. It's not the best picture. That's what she looked like when she went missing. I mean, when she went to prison. This is what she looks like now. Okay, I can see how she got pregnant in prison. How'd she get a glow up? She glowed up in prison. Yeah, maybe it's because she's keeping out of the sun, so she doesn't have any sun damage. How'd she get a straightener? I bet that's not on commissary. She ran out of Aquanet. What vitamins they give in prison? Oh. Yeah, she's stress-free. She doesn't get a lot of time outside. But seriously, how'd she get a straightener? It's that penicillin. She looked like a sister wife. She did look like a sister wife before. Let me see if I can find, y'all remember her standing up giving the press conference with her husband by her side? Yes, this is how we remember her, right? That's how we remember her. These pictures over here on the side. What did her husband look like? Was her husband handsome? Oh yeah, he wasn't bad looking. I mean, for 1995. Do we want to see what her stepdad looks like? So that's her when it happened. What does Finley look like? What was his last name? He wrote a book, y'all. The husband wrote a book. Ooh, the mom wrote a book too. Listen, my mother better never write a book about me if I go to prison, okay? But you know what? Actually, she should. If I were to murder my kids, you're right, she should. The husband wrote a book. It's called Beyond All Reason. I'm trying to find what Finley looked like. It's not coming up. What is this? Did I just find a letter that she wrote? Look. That's her too. Tom Finley. Okay, hold on. Let me Google it. Nothing comes up for his picture. He must have a good PR person. It's just her that pops up. Oh, I found him. He's bald. That's how I know it's him. There he is. He is, in fact, balding. If they had not said balding, I would have never known that was him. See? Thankfully, that article. Okay, let's see what this... Y'all, why do I feel like I'm about to go down... Yeah, just shave it off at that point. Why am I about to go down a deep dive? Those boys were so cute. I guess she wrote a letter confessing. I didn't know what to do. It was very tough emotionally to sit and watch my family hurt. Well, here's an idea. Don't drive your kids into a lake. Oh, of course, she found God while she's been in prison. I have prayed to God that He give me the strength to survive each day and to face those times and situations in my life that will be extremely painful. I have put my total faith in God and He will take care of me. Yeah, I bet your kids wanted to pray to God too while they were drowning in a car that you locked them in to give them strength to survive, but that didn't work out very well, did it? Are we going to circle back to Darlie? The ADHD is strong. You're right. It is. It is. I'm here now. What would you like? Redirect me. Sorry. I'm very redirectable. There was a made-for-TV movie. Susan Smith found God. So did Burgos Aviles. He found God also. It was in his character portion of his sentencing phase. Working from home is amazing. All right, y'all. We've been on here long enough. Oh my God. It's 10:19. My bad. I told Katie 1 hour. I'm really bad at this. Oh, Carrie, that's so sweet. My shirts are up. Some of the prints are sold out, but I'm very excited. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. It's these damn rabbit holes. I don't know if this live is going to be on YouTube because it is really all over the place. Like, my last live had direction and I was telling a story. This one was reflective of my mental health today. Why didn't you get charged shipping? Are you sure you didn't get charged $5 shipping? What was your total? You know, I didn't actually like the frozen fruit roll-up. I forgot to make a video about it. I didn't care for it. Okay, y'all, I'll put it up just for the people who want to see the beginning of it. But if other people that weren't in this live watch it, they're going to be like, this girl is psychotic, like having delusions, because none of this is going to make sense. Yeah, I really love like the gooey savoring of the sticking to all of your teeth. And I felt like when I ate it frozen that I didn't get as much. And see, this is what I'm talking about, because when I post this on YouTube, people can't see the comments. So they're going to think I went from talking about being in a state of psychosis to randomly talking about a frozen food that I'm putting in my mouth. Birds of a feather. That's us. That's us. Ooh, y'all look, the Cajun Press changed her name in her profile picture. This is who, for all the people who wanted to know where I get my cups from. She's right here. She's right here. Well, I can't pin it. I don't know. I have fat fingers. There you go. Thanks, Katie. That's why you're the best moderator. So I will put this up on YouTube. I will. I'm not going to go back and read the comments on YouTube because I know people are going to rip me because none of this makes any sense. All right, I got to go to bed. You know, the other thing, when I go live at night, it's kind of like going to the gym. It like gets my endorphins going and then I can't sleep. And so I said I was only going to do it for an hour. And then here we are at 10:22. Oh yeah, Cajun Press also has a Shopify up. Turn off the comments. Duh, turn off the comments. Why didn't I think of that? That is genius. All right, y'all. I'm going to go take a melatonin. It's time to take my earrings off and get my ass ready for bed. Cindy Lou, you're a genius. All right, y'all. It's been real. It's been fun. I feel like it's like a night of hanging out with your girlfriends. Night, night. Oh, I have to finish. Okay, I have to finish the YouTube documentary tonight. That's what I gotta do. Okay. Julie, I just took your earrings off. Everybody was asking where I got them. I said I got them from you. Okay. Adios, amigos. Bye.